I recently learned something new about this game that I've played for thousands of hours, and it led me down a minor rabbit hole which I wanted to document. Movement in fighting games is always a surprisingly tricky thing to get right, and it even gets messier when you combine status effects with that movement. Raven's Needle projectile is unique because it applies a status effect, and that effect is applied in a very literal manner to both linear movement and teleports. If that sounds weird, it's because the definition of teleport is kind of weird in Guilty Gear. I use various mods in training mode to show frame advantage, frame bars, and hurt boxes and hitboxes, and all of the mods that I use will be linked in the description. I can't put it in a pinned comment because YouTube does not like external links. Anyway, remember to like and comment and subscribe. There will be more stuff coming soon enough. Let's get into it. Raven's Needle applies a slowdown effect on hit, and it does this because this is how Raven's Needles worked in Guilty Gear Overture. Raven's poses after Verzweifelt, which is his dash super, are also direct references to the animations in Overture, but that's just cosmetic. The slowdown effect lasts for 1.5 seconds, and when Raven goes to level 2 and level 3 excitement, it gains an additional half second, so the maximum duration can be 2.5 seconds. The slowdown is a flat 50% reduction in horizontal movement speed. No nuance, no variance. One strange quirk of the Needle is that the slowdown timer continues ticking down even in hit stop, which makes its effective time significantly less than whatever time it's supposed to have. And it can also vary a little bit depending on exactly what moves Raven combos with. Raven Jump H, for instance, has significantly less hit stop than other normals with that attack level, which further muddies the waters. As an example, if you look at this combo, you probably wouldn't think that it takes 1.5 seconds. But as you can see, the graphic and the slowdown effect run out immediately as soon as I finish. So it takes about 1.5 seconds of real time, absolute time, not 1.5 seconds of in-game time. The slowdown effect applies to all horizontal movement the victim undergoes, which includes pushback in combos, so Raven's attacks effectively have reduced pushback. This can enable some fun mid-screen combos using concepts that normally only work in the corner.
It's not over yet.
You're probably asking, what about all the moves in the game that are teleports? How does it affect them? Well, that's a very good question. Luckily, I checked. Venom can teleport to the ball that he has most recently set on the screen that is not in motion as an attack. And this is a true teleport, so the distance does not change if Raven applies the Needle Slowdown effect. Bedman has 3 moves that he can potentially teleport with. His forward dash, which is sort of a parry, his task A prime, and the deja vu version of his task A prime. These look like they do the same thing, but they don't all behave the same way. In fact, there seems to be something going on with Bedman's teleports that cleans up the status effect from Raven when he changes positions. If you look, you can see the feathers persist for about 2.5 seconds, but now they're gone immediately. I checked that his teleport from Deja Vu also works the same way. The distance Bedman travels when he parries something with his forward dash will also be unaffected, although the dash itself will not move as far. And for whatever reason, that does not clean up his status effect in the same way. Faust and his teleport doors are also true teleports, so they're unaffected. I should point out that one of Faust's attacks inflicts a small series of teleports on his opponent, which is the Scalpel Thrust pull move. When Raven is moving towards Faust there, he's not actually covering the intervening space, he's just teleporting slightly. In the older games, this meant that it was possible to throw a donut or a food item and actually drag somebody over it and through it without picking it up. I don't recall having seen that happen in Xrd, but anyway. I wonder what would happen if Raven were slowed by his own needle and he got pulled by that, but there's no way to test that because Faust does not have a projectile reflector. Well, technically he does, but it doesn't work the way that you'd want it to. There are two other characters who have teleport moves that I thought might be interesting, but it turned out they were not very interesting. Answer has a parry, and if he activates that parry while he's near one of his scrolls that he has set on the screen, he will teleport to that scroll and cling onto it. That's a true teleport. Nothing interesting there. Axel has a counter, Heaven Can Wait, where he throws his bandana over your face and then leaps toward you, and he'll cover any distance that he needs to in order for the attack to work. So I thought it would be cool to see what happens when I slow him down, but I wasn't actually able to test that because the counter animation takes so long that by the time he actually starts moving, the slowdown from Raven's Needle has always worn off. I would also like to correct some misinformation that I've heard for a long time, which is that Ramathal Valentine has a teleport with her forward-moving Dauro. This is not actually a teleport, it's just really, really fast, and her character model sort of looks weird during it. So as you can see, if Raven slows her down, she will still move at a slow pace. Not a teleport, just really fast. Slayer's teleport dash is actually what got me to thinking about this years ago, and it's what made me first notice and consider the effects of Raven's Needle, because Slayer's teleport dash is just movement with no character model and no hurt box, and collision checks disabled. Hence why he can go through you. Also, in this game they gave him two different distances that he can go. And therefore, that allows him to have a lot more control than he used to in the previous games. So if you look at Slayer moving around invisibly, invincibly, you put a needle on him. It may not be too obvious, but you can actually see him while he's moving around, because the graphic sticks to him. Because the graphic is not associated with his hurt box or his character model or anything like that. Raven's forward dash is kind of the opposite, in that it looks like a teleport, but it's actually just him moving forward very fast while he has no hurt box and no character model. So it is affected by the Needle Slowdown, and Raven, if he were to move out of it, would also be affected in his jump arc or anything like that. If you know anything about Guilty Gear, you know that Chipp has teleports, and you know that he has 4 of them which go different distances and track relative to the opponent. Well, I'm here to burst your bubble. 2 of them kind of behave that way, 1 of them doesn't, and none of them is a real teleport. They're all just movement without a character model, without a hurt box, without collision. The P teleport is stationary, so that's not affected by Raven's slowdown or anything. You can see Chipp's position never changes, his push box never really changes, and if you look at the little X, you can see that his origin point never changes either. The S and H teleports are supposed to track to me above my head regardless of where I am. This is somewhat true, but it's not entirely true, and it doesn't work the way you think it would. Now once Chipp reaches me, it doesn't matter if he's slowed down because he doesn't have anywhere to move. But on the way over, he gets his speed cut in half, so he only makes it half the distance. With the S teleport, it doesn't really create huge differences just by itself and just by the position of the 2 characters. But if you look at the H teleport at round start distance, it does cross up. And if I backdash a couple of times, it sort of uncrosses up. Another weird quirk of Chipp's teleports is that they carry running momentum into them. So that enables S teleport to cross up. Unless he's slowed down, in which case it slows down his run and slows down the amount of momentum he takes into the teleport, and it also cuts the teleport distance. Now, by far the weirdest one is K teleport. And you'd think that K teleport would be the simplest one, because it just teleports behind Raven on the ground. And you can see it's already doing a pretty good job of being consistent in the distance. It's not carrying running momentum, it's not doing anything weird. Well, I'm going to use Raven 2K as a yardstick here, which is not exactly scientific, but we can see from round start position that Raven 2K just barely does not reach Chipp, except for during his idle animation. So if he does K teleport, he ends up with his origin point inside of Raven 2K. So the amount of distance between the two characters after a single K teleport is not the same as round start distance. So what happens if he teleports back to his original side? Well, he's not at round start distance anymore, but he's also not at the same distance that he was before, because you can see Raven 2K did not reach all the way to his origin point. And just to make things even weirder, if Chipp does 3 K teleports and he ends up on the cross-up side, the distance is not the same as 1 K teleport. You can see the distance between the origin point and Raven 2K was not quite the same as it was after 1 teleport. After careful observation and much testing, I was able to determine that for K teleport specifically, it seems like there's sort of a set series of distances that Chipp can move. And he just moves along those distances until he reaches his correct spot. Some sort of like parallel universe, almost. And this gets really weird if you're both standing mid-screen and you're near one of those thresholds. Chipp does not have any teleport that is supposed to put him directly adjacent to my push box, but that one did. And if I do it again, he ends up 2 distances away. In the corner, things get even weirder because the character push boxes are directly touching one another. So Chipp, if he does it from this distance, will attempt to teleport into me and get pushed out. But if there's even a little space in the corner, then he'll attempt to teleport into me and steal the corner. And if there's a little bit of distance between him and I and the corner, then he'll attempt to teleport into me and steal the corner. Successfully, just the same. What, did you expect it to be different? And what happens, you ask, if Chipp is in the corner and both of the characters' push boxes are directly touching one another and Chipp does K teleport? You'd probably expect him to end up like here or here. Here's what actually happens. For some reason, he goes 3 parallel universes out and ends up full screen, which is not something that any of his teleports is supposed to be able to do. An even stranger thing to consider is that Chipp will not always move back into the corner in the same way, depending on how much distance is between his opponent and the corner. So here he puts himself back into the corner perfectly. Now he's slightly out of the corner. Now he's a lot farther out of the corner. Honestly, man, I don't know. This game is just a fever dream to me. And here's what happens when Raven's Needle interferes with Chipp's teleport out of the corner. And I know what you're probably thinking, which is somebody has got to have documented this somewhere at some point, right? There's no way nobody has ever noticed that Chipp's K teleport has wildly inconsistent behavior depending on something as simple as being in the corner. Well, I followed this game very closely for about 3 or 4 years when it was at its height in popularity and influence. And I gotta tell you, I've never seen anyone mention this. I've never seen it come up. I've never seen Chipp players acknowledge it. I've never seen anybody mention this. I don't think I'm the first person to discover this, but man, I don't know. I just want it to stop. It scares me, man. That's it for the really insightful stuff. While I was making the script for this video, I collected a bunch of fun needle interactions that don't normally come up in regular gameplay, so I'll show those off now. Small addendum about Johnny that I discovered as I was recording miscellaneous clips. I thought Treasure Hunt was a super that only moved him forward, and that is true, it just moves him forward. You can see he moves forward with no hurt box. And then he whiffs, and he ends up about that distance from me from full screen. And if he does it with the needle debuff, he ends up the same distance, except he has the debuff on him. But it wasn't a teleport, but he traveled the distance. I forgot, Johnny is the best character in the game.
アンサーです。お世話になっております。東チップ王国のアンサーでございます。
The slowdown applies to all horizontal put. Excuse me, you fucking cunt.